Hey there, guys, and happy Saturday. I am so happy you're able to join me this evening. I have a very, very special guest coming on tonight, and I'm going to announce that in a few seconds. I want to give a special thanks to all of the viewers, the supporters, and the guests who came on the Indie Spotlight Special Edition and the Indie Spotlight. Without you, there is no show. I'm your host, Shayrenee, and you can watch each and every episode of the Indie Spotlight and the Indie Spotlight Special Edition at my main page at Shayrenee215. Just go there to the IGTV tab and check underneath there for the latest and greatest episodes. Tonight we are having a special guest. I'm excited and honored to be doing an interview with the legendary Tony Luke Jr., and he's in the room right now, so we will start the interview. I think I accepted it. Hey!
Hi, Shay. How are you?
How are you? How are
I'm
you doing
good.
today?
I'm
Great,
doing well.
great. I'm so happy. I'm so happy you're doing great. Okay, so before I start the interview, I would like to tell everyone, please keep your comments at a minimum so we won't get distracted during the interview. If you want to ask any questions, pop them in the question box and I'll get to them as best as I can. So now, I wanted to ask you, talk about actually what was it like growing up in South Philadelphia?
Oh God. So I grew up in the 70s.
Okay.
So it was a very different climate. It was very neighborhoodish.
Mm-hmm.
So there was the Italian section, the Jewish section, the Irish section. Everyone had a section. So, and there weren't really supermarkets when I was a kid. So when you wanted meat, you went to the butcher. You wanted bread, you went to the baker. You know, you wanted produce, you went to the produce guy. In fact, I remember they would have like station wagons come up the street, and we would call them hucksters. And then they would, be yelling, and they would be selling vegetables out of the back of a pickup truck or the back of a station wagon. So
Right.
that's where you would get it. And bread didn't last 2 weeks. When you bought bread back then, there was no preservatives, so it lasted a day, and then the next day it became breadcrumbs. So it was what was great about that time was being able to see the different cultures in the different neighborhoods. So, if you wanted Jewish rye bread, you had to go to the Jewish part of town to get the rye bread. You weren't getting it in the Italian section. So it was very different. It was, in some ways, it was very separate, but in other ways, it was very close. You had a cousin lived across the street. All your neighbors were relatives. Families all lived close together, which now everybody's kind of separated. Families are split up all over the place.
Sure. So you are a comedian, an actor, and a singer, and you you co-owned with I think it's with Restelli's Food.
Well, we own Tony Luke's together, the brand.
The
Tony
brand, okay,
Luke's the
together.
brand, not the original Tony
Right.
Luke's. That's owned by my father and my brother.
Right. And also the frozen foods, right? That's the frozen foods and
And the
the
frozen
franchise.
food line. Yeah.
Wow. So tell me, so also knowing that you are a singer and you've been singing for a long time, you've been very, very active in the music community. What inspired you to start singing? And tell me a little bit about that.
Wow. Music has always been a huge thing with me. In fact, it is my favorite thing. So if I had to give everything up and just keep one thing, it would be the music. Now, I appreciate you calling me a singer, but I don't look at myself as a singer.
Writer.
I'm a songwriter that happens to be able to sing my own material. But I'm, and when I hear the word singer, I think of performers. So I'm not a performer. If I had to categorize myself, I would be more of a stylist or a singer-songwriter, but definitely not a singer. My vocal range is not that big, and and I have a very particular style when I do it, but
Mm-hmm.
music is always, I love TV and music from a child were my biggest thing.
Yeah.
I think growing up heavy as a small child,
Mm-hmm.
my escape was the TV,
Okay, I can
because
relate.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So on
Yeah, I can
TV,
relate.
I could be anyone I wanted to be. I can
Mm-hmm.
pretend to be all these different characters because I didn't want to be me.
Mm-hmm.
So that really, I got to tell you, I knew from a very, very early age that I wanted to be an entertainer. Like that's what I wanted, whether it, whatever genre it took me in the entertainment business is what I wanted. So um, I remember, well, look, we're going to be honest. So I'm going to be honest. So I remember I got kicked out of high school. I went
Mm-hmm.
to Bishop Newman. They kicked me out for fighting.
Mm-hmm.
And I was 15 then. And I went to work, and I wasn't going to go back to school. And
Mm-hmm.
my parents were like, "You have to go back to school." I'm like, "Nah, I don't have to. I'm going to just work." And I remember walking in, and my father had a newspaper, and he said, "Here," and he threw me the newspaper. And I'm like, "What do you want me to do with this?" He said, "I don't know. You want to be some kind of actor, singer." He's like, "There's a new school they're auditioning. It's called Creative and Performing Arts. They're taking auditions now. Go audition. Maybe you can get into that high school." And Capit changed my life forever. Because
Mm-hmm.
prior to that, my whole world was 10 block by 10 block. So it wasn't even a matter of do you like certain people or not. It was a matter of if you didn't live in my 10 block radius, I didn't want to know you. So if you were, if it was other Italians outside of that 10 block, I didn't want to know them. So here I
Mm-hmm.
go to Kappa, where there's kids from all walks of life, every religion and ethnic group. So I remember the first day in for the auditions, I kind of was on a defensive, because I come from an area where you fought all the time. So I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be bad. Everyone's going to be fighting each other. And it was very different. And I remember a lot of people. I mean, there were more people than I can count that were auditioning to get into school because it had not been open yet. So the school never opened. This was the first class for the school. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember doing, just doing my thing. And I left and thought, there were over 1,000 kids. Like there were thousands of kids. There's no way that I'm going to make it. And I remember, I don't know if it was a couple weeks, it was, or a month, whatever it was. I got a phone call and they were like, "Hey, you've been accepted." So I had drama as a major and I had voice as a minor. And when I tell you it saved my life, I mean, it opened me up to all of these different cultures and religions. And, what I got from it was it doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter what your ethnicity is, what your religion base is. It's like people are the same everywhere. They
Yeah.
want to be loved. They want to be appreciated. They want to be noticed. It
Yeah.
changed my whole view in the
Wow.
way that I looked at the world. And I always
Mm-hmm.
said, I mean, it saved me. I mean, I would have probably been dead had I not
Mm-hmm.
gone to that school. And it sparked that creativity in me to make me want to, just this is what I wanted to do. Like I knew from that moment on, this is what I want to do.
Wow. Um, I know you were telling me like about you growing up in South Philly, and when you told me about going to their school, it reminded me my niece actually graduated from Palumbo,
Okay.
and it was a great year. It was a great school, and I graduated from Community College of Philadelphia with a music performance degree, and that's just something that I think it does connect a lot of people, ethnicities, ages, and everything. Because I met a lot of people and know a lot of people from school. you also have a very, very amazing acting career. A lot
I've
of the
been
films that I
really
want to ask
lucky.
about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been really lucky.
Yeah, you have really, really, really great and interesting acting career. And I wanted to also talk about, well, it's a couple films, but I want to talk about your film, The Nail.
The nail. Okay.
Yes, The Nail. And I want to talk about your film and ask you some things about it and ask you what was your favorite memory from The Nail?
Wow. I mean, one doing the movie or after the movie was out, because I
So,
have favorite memories of both.
okay. So the first one would be doing the movie and then after it was out.
Okay, so it's basically based on a boxer. Prior
Hmm.
to doing the film, I had a problem with my nose and it kept bleeding all the time. And I had to be rushed into the hospital 3 times to get operated on to stop the bleeding. So here we are, we're getting ready to film, and I can't get hit in the face because once my nose started bleeding back then, because there was an issue, it wouldn't stop.
Mm.
So if you watch the film, you notice every time we're fighting, I'm hitting the body. No one's really hitting me in the face because they're worried about me bleeding and then stopping production. But I think one of my fondest memories of doing that film was that whole kind of family atmosphere. You know, we had rented this 3-story home and all of the actors lived there. So we worked all day, and then we we went to dinner at night, and then we all lived in the same house. Even though I had a home, like 8 blocks
Wow.
away, while we were shooting the film, we all stayed in the same house. And it was just, it translated on screen because we became close friends. And that
Wow.
relationship on screen really, really transferred. And we
Wow.
shot that film in 18 days. And there were 12, 14-hour days minimum. Labor of love for everyone involved.
Yeah. And then your favorite memory after. So that was your favorite memory during. What was your favorite memory after the movie?
So the movie, we shot the film. We had no distribution, none.
Mm.
So we had an investor to put up money who truly felt like he was never going to see that money again. So we did the film. We did one film festival in Philadelphia, and we won best favorite audience film. So we just did the one festival, and then we kind of set it out. And then 20th Century Fox immediately bought the film for overseas. And then once 20th Century Fox bought the film, which was $1 million to one shot, Artist View bought it for the United States. So it went on Showtime, Cinemax, the Movie Channel, and it became a cult film, especially in the Latino community, because Dayanara Torres stars in the film, and Pablo Orantia played the young boy, and
Hmm.
Ray Boom Boom Mancini's in it, William Forsythe, Tony Danza,
Yeah.
Leo
Yeah.
Rott. Like it had a great cast, and it became like this cult film. So in 2009, no matter when you turned cable on, there was the film. It almost felt like every 2 hours the film was being replayed. So the film got really, really, really big as far as people seeing it. And I was home one evening, and my phone rang, and it was a California number. And it was a 310. I'm like, I don't recognize this number. But I picked it up. I'm like, hello. And there was a woman on the other end of the line. She says, is this Tony Luke Jr.'s phone? And I said, it is. She said, please hold for Will Smith. And I'm like, okay. And then I got on. He's like, Tony, it's Will. I'm like, hi, Will. And he goes, listen, he goes, I hope you're not upset. I got your phone number from my dad. I was very close with his dad. His dad,
Okay.
Will, was a great, great human being. And
Wow.
he said, I hope you don't mind. I got my number for your number from my dad. I'm watching this movie, The Nail. He said, I see you. And I'm thinking, that's the sandwich guy. What is he doing in a film? He goes, I don't know that you act. He goes, so I want to turn it off, but I can't. He said, and the movie keeps, bringing me in. He goes, next thing you know, my eyes start to well up. And then here I am crying, watching this film. He said, and I called my dad to get your number. He said, I just wanted to tell you that this movie really touched me. It really affected me. And he was like, is there anything I can do for you? And I said, no, 20th Century Fox bought it, and it's all over cable, and it's on Showtime and Cinemax. And I had said to him, it's a lot different from the movie Invincible. And he went, the movie Invincible? The Mark Wahlberg movie? And I said, yeah. He goes, I love that movie. I must have seen it a dozen times with the kids. And I was like, he goes, did you produce that? And I was like, no, I'm in it. He goes, no. He's like, I just watched you for 90 minutes. You're not in the movie Invincible. I know every part of that movie. I was like, Will, I was 400 pounds when I did that movie, as opposed to I lost almost 100 pounds doing The Nail. And he said, well, wait, what character did you play in the movie? And I didn't even get it all out. I went, I played the guy in the green. And he goes, not the guy in the green cape trying out for the team. I'm like, he goes, you're one of my favorite characters in that film. He goes, I love that character. And we talked for like 40 minutes, and it was such a beautiful memory for me. He is such an amazing human being. And then he said, when I get to Philly, we'll get together. And he was doing an event here in Philly, and they called me, and his dad called me over, and we got together and we talked a little bit, and he was incredible.
Wow. Wow. That's such an amazing story. So I'm just looking at like so many, you acted like with so many like people that I grew up with watching. I'm also looking at you, and it says that you also starred in a film with John Travolta, Gotti, and also Tenth and Wolf. And I see a lot of like actors that I know and that I grew up with.
that was Tenth and Wolf was a really good experience for me. It taught me a lot, and it was my first big film, like with really, because I played opposite of Dennis Hopper in that film, and it had Giovanni Ribisi and James Marsden, Brian Dennehy, Leo Rossi, Leslie Ann Warren, and Dash Myhawk, and Brad Renfro. And it went on and on and on. And I learned a lot from that film. In fact, that film, if it wasn't for 10th and Wolf, I would have never gotten Invincible. And I'll tell you why. So in 10th and Wolf, they keep cutting my lines. And I don't know why. So I'm getting a little frustrated. And I go to the director and I said, why do you keep cutting my lines? And he's like, don't worry about it. Just never realizing that even though the movie was supposed to be Philadelphia, well, James Marsden, Giovanni Ribisi, that they didn't have a Philly accent. So every time I was on screen with them, it made them sound like they didn't belong. So the director was like, I'm either going to cut your lines or theirs, and I'm certainly not cutting their lines. So he kept cutting my lines, and I learned to pick up for myself. Like I learned to be very respectful to the director, but to let him know if I saw something that I thought wasn't right or something I wanted to try, I would very respectfully assert myself to let him know that. So here comes Invincible, and I get a call to audition for a fan in the stand. And I'm like, how many lines is it? And they were like, it's one line. And I remember going, I just finished 10th and Wolf. I don't know if I want to do one line. Like, I feel like I'm going backwards. And they were like, no, it's a Disney film. And then they send you something called a side, because they can't send you one line. But on the side, it had a character called Alice Cooper, which was this very tall, thin, long hair character in a green cape and a green outfit. Here I am, 400 pounds, bald and short. But that was the part I wanted. And I remember calling my agent and saying, get me an audition for that role. And she was like, nah, you don't fit the character. I'm like, yeah, I know, but just get me the audition. So she gets me the audition. I go in, I do the audition. And basically it was like, Tony, you know, we really love what you did, but you don't fit the character at all. But I just wanted the opportunity to audition because I thought I really loved that role. It was small, but I liked it. And then I got called in, and I remember the director saying to me, I have a problem. I'm like, what's the problem? And he said, do I get an actor to fit the character, or do I rewrite the character to fit the actor? And I remember saying, so you called me in to tell me I didn't get the job. And he said, no, give me a week to think about it. And then, you know, thank God, a week later, he called me and I got the role.
Wow. Wow. So you've made a lot of music, and you've made a lot of great music. And I really think that you do have a very great voice.
Well, I think you're too kind, but thank you.
Really. So you have a new album releasing in a few weeks. It's
Yes.
entitled Strong in Broken Places. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, when my son Tony passed away,
Yes.
um,
I'm sorry about that.
thank you. I just
Yeah.
wanted to die. So there's nothing anybody can say to make you feel better. There's nothing anybody can do.
Mm,
And I realized that I just wanted the pain to stop. And then it made me realize all those that are struggling with addiction or mental health or trauma, they just want the pain to stop, you know, and you get to a point where you would do anything just to stop the pain. And a friend of mine brought over a keyboard and he said, Tony, why don't you start writing music again? And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to write. I just want to die. And I remember leaving it in the room. And then one morning at like 2 in the morning or 3 in the morning, I walked into the room and I hit a chord and something changed in me. That pain that was inside was coming out through my fingers into the keyboard and then out into the universe. And I thought, wow, this is a way to get the pain out. So when I wrote the album, Strong in Broken Places, it's
mm,
almost like a 3-act play. It's being lower than you've ever been, feeling that you have no worth, feeling like you just want to die. In fact, that when you die, no one will even notice you're gone. And then it
mm,
goes from there into self-medicating, which is a song called I Will Leave You There Alone. And then from there, once you go through the whole self-medicating thing, you start, like there's a song on the album called Runaway. And it's kind of a dual layer song, because if you look at it from the perspective of someone struggling through addiction, you could look at that and go, yeah, they're in denial. They don't want to hear anything. You know, they blame everyone else for what they're doing. Or you can take that same song and look at it from the perspective of a loved one who judges that their loved one, who's preachy
mm,
and judgy and stands on this high moral ground. So what I love about that song is it can go either way. You can either look at it from this perspective or you can look at it from that perspective. And then
mhm,
from there, once you go through that, you start to get this mentality that life is nothing more than highs and lows. There's no middle. And I normally never redo someone's music, but on this album, I did 2 renditions of someone else's music. And at that point, one of my favorite songs that talks about the highs and the low is a song by Billy Joel called Summer Highland Falls. So then the song takes you there. And then once you go through this high and this low, and you go through all of this turmoil, you realize that life is about pain sometimes. And then you have to deal with regret. Then you have to deal with loss. And then you have to deal with the memory of that loss. Then it goes to One More Night and Do You Remember Me? And then coming out of all of that, you finally realize that everything that you've been through, the one person the only person that can make a difference, the only person that can help heal you is you. And I thought, what better song in the world to redo my rendition of other than Man in the Mirror? Because that's all about taking a look at yourself in the mirror and making that change. And that was like the whole second act. And then once you make that change, you feel that you're ready. Since you're starting to love yourself, you feel like you're ready to bring someone else in. But most of the time, when you first let someone in, it doesn't always work out. But it's all you have. So you hold on to that relationship, even when that relationship may not be right, which brings us to the song, She's Got a Hold on Me. But then once you go through that trial and you realize that it's okay to know that some relationships don't work, and you look and you find someone, which goes into the song, It's Always Been You, knowing that that person has always been waiting for you. You just weren't looking. You closed yourself off. You didn't allow yourself to go there. And then once you find that person, the album ends with a song called Forever and a Day, which culminates meeting that person and knowing that it is possible to love someone forever. And it is possible to be loved forever. So that's what the album does. It's a conceptual album. It takes you on a journey literally through life. At least, and that I was hoping to release the album and let people know that, hey, not only are you not alone, but I've been there. People have been there. There's people that have experienced, the worst tragedies imaginable, and they just want to know that someone else has gotten through it. They want that hope that, well, if you got through it, then maybe I can get through it. That's why I am more proud of this album than any music I ever have done in the past, because this music is not about me. It's not about me selling 1 million albums. It's not about me becoming famous. And my view, and we talked about this privately, my view is God will put this album in the ears of those that need it. And if that's 100 people, then it's 100 people. If it's 1,000, if it's 1,000. If it's one, then it's one. It's not about me. It's not about the album being super popular. It's about saving one life. One. If one person is affected by the album, if one person decides they're worth saving themselves, then the album has done, hopefully, what I was praying for. And I said before, I don't write music. God writes music. I've just been lucky enough that I was able to open myself up to receive that music, because music is all around you. It's everywhere. If you allow yourself to just receive it, it comes out. So there's one, I forgot who said it, so forgive me, but someone once said, how do you write music? And someone said, I don't write music. I just use a pen. You know what I mean? Like, it comes from somewhere else. And I'm hoping that this album will affect people in the way I hope it will. And maybe, just if it helps one life, it was worth it.
I think that was a really beautiful explanation of you telling us about your album. And I think that we are connected through like our good times, but we're also connected through pain and tragedy. And when we see, as like regular everyday people, when we see large, very large public figures and millionaires and entrepreneurs and business people, we see that they go through the same things. We connect with them on a different level.
Absolutely. And the one thing, out of all the tragedy of everything that I've been through, like so many other people, there's nothing special about me. Believe me. I know people that had worse tragedies than I've gone through. But what it does is it makes you understand where the real gifts are. It's not the Mercedes. It's not, and I know people say that, but it's the truth. It's the relationships you make. It's the friendships. It's the people in your life that you love and they love you. It's not about the money. It's not about the clothes. When that becomes the focus, when you judge your success by how much money you have, or what your house looks like, or what kind of car you drive, then you're not successful. I don't care if you own the biggest mansion in the world. You're not. You may be successful at business, but you're not successful at life.
Exactly.
Because those, not that they're not good to have, it's just that, what are you doing with all that money? You know what I mean? Are you just buying car after car and boat after boat? Or are you using that money to change lives? Because that's the one thing that money is really good for. And I'm not saying you have to take a vow of poverty. You know what I mean? But, you don't need to hold $1 billion or $100 million and not funnel it somewhere where you can make life better for anyone.
Definitely. I definitely hear you with that one. Do you have any merchandise for sale?
No, what we do have, though, and I will ask your audience to please, I will give them this. I do not take a penny, not 1 cent from the foundation. So I'd like to talk a little bit about the Sound Mind Network, if that's okay.
Sure, yes, talk about that.
So I got together with Joe Nicolo, who used to own Rough House Records. Joe's got 9 Grammys, 150 platinum albums. He's done Lauryn Hill, the Fugees, Wyclef, Billy Joel, Bob Dylan. He worked with everyone. Wow. And I said, Joe, music saved my life. And anyone that struggles with mental health, addiction, or trauma, they'll be the first one to tell you that you can't go around it. You have to go through it. You'll be going around it in a circle for the rest of your life. You have to go through it. You have to deal with it. You have to come to terms with it. I don't want to say you have to make friends with it, but in reality, you have to accept the situations that you're in, and like the prayer, you have to accept what you can and know what can be changed and what can't be changed. Yeah. So I thought, wouldn't it be amazing if we can put together and raise money for a foundation that helps people with mental health, addiction, and trauma medicate themselves through the arts, learn how to play an instrument, learn poetry, learn how to write, learn how to sketch, learn how to paint, learn how to sculpt. So we wanted to make partnerships with all of these people that we would pay to do all these online videos, because some people that are struggling, it's hard for them to be in front of people. They're not ready yet. So we partner up with all these online people that we pay for them to go through, so they can address that pain in, like I said, through the arts, through whatever medium that works for them best. And then all of a sudden, people got on board. Other artists, like for the album, for the Sound Mind Network album, Kevin Bacon and the Bacon Brothers, him and his brother, who his brother's such an amazing, Michael Bacon is such an amazing artist and musician. And so is Kevin. They did 2 tracks for the album. G loves doing something for the album. Kathy Sledge is doing something for the album. Sophie B. Hawkins and Joan Osborne. And we're talking to Billy Joel now to, he's looking like he's going to put something on the album. And, oh God, I'm forgetting so many amazing people. So if they're watching, please forgive me. They're all coming on board. We have rappers coming on board and country people coming on board, and they're all donating either music or their song, knowing that the proceeds from that, the performance rights and all the streaming, will go to the Sound Mind Network, and we'll just keep feeding the arts, feeding the programs that people need to be involved in, and then partner up with more and more people to get that done. Now, it's not a recovery center. It doesn't work that way. I mean, you need recovery centers. I mean, you need, people doing what they're doing. This is just a way to get people that maybe don't want to go to a psychologist, or a psychologist don't understand them. Sometimes it's a lot harder to speak to someone face to face, other than write a song, where you pour your heart out, because for some reason people can disconnect themselves from the music, even though they're not. And even though they're pouring their heart out, they feel like, well, it's not me saying it to you directly. So, but they're still getting it out. You know,
Yeah.
you've got to learn to forgive yourself, and because
Yeah.
we hold so much guilt inside of us that we have to let that go. And what better way to do that? So people can help by going to soundmindnetwork.org. There's a donate button there, please. I don't care if it's 50 cents, if it's $1, anything that they can give, because that money, like I said, goes to, we're going to put on concerts. So that money will help put on a concert, will raise tens of thousands of dollars to put towards those programs. And then the website, which is very, very early. So when you go, it's not even really been worked on. We're just putting all this together to go now, because we are a 501(c), so it is a tax credit. But the website will start uploading people's music and their artwork and their sculpting and their poems, you know, so that it's there. They can be anonymous, or they can put their name, whatever they want to do, just to get that out.
Wow. I think that is very noble. I think it's great. And I think it's a way to connect people. And you know something? There's a lot of addiction going on. There's a lot of addiction going on. We do have to find a way to express ourselves and to help ourselves. And what better way to do that than with community? And so many people, famous people, and people that are independent out there getting together as a collective to do that. So I hope you guys do donate to the Sound Mind Network, or donate your art and music and everything of that nature. So hopefully, I just hope that in the near future, in some way, in some form, that I will work with you.
I would love that. I told you that. I definitely,
Yeah.
in fact, it's weird because I'm kind of seeing people that are scrolling on and off, and a lot of the people that have been scrolling have worked with me before, and I with them. There's people that were coming on, which I can't see the full list anymore, but people were coming on, are giving their time, you know, with boxing, because, you know, and another friend of mine that I saw popped on, you know, he goes out of his way day and night. He's there to talk to people, to help them, to get them in recovery. And the whole idea of the sports, another friend of mine, with the sports programs and bringing kids when they're young off the streets, teaching them how to box, you know, giving them like a moral code of, you know, just, you have your frustrations, let's take it out here. Let's not do it in the street, you know, and he's building character, and, you know, he doesn't make any money doing it. You know what I mean? It's like, he's not getting rich off of what he does, but he does it out of the kindness of his heart. And that's what I'm talking about. It's like, people may know my face, but I always say when I speak, forget what my face looks like, because truly, and I'm not just saying this because I'm in front of the camera, I mean it with every fiber of my being. The real heroes, you don't even know their name. You don't even know what they look like, but they're out on that street every single day making a difference. They're in the struggle. They get nothing from it other than doing God's work and trying to make the world a better place to live in. But if you pass them on the street, you wouldn't even know who they are. You know, so they don't do it for the recognition. They do it to serve. They do it to make that difference. And those are the people I applaud every single day. The people whose faces you don't even know, or names you've never heard. Those are the people that are making the real difference.
Wow. Where can people find Tony Luke Jr. at? Like, all your social media platforms, can you like tell us about that? So
yeah, I mean, I'm at Tony Luke Jr. So it's TonyLukeJr. So it's at Tony Luke Jr. on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, and on TikTok, and on Snapchat. So I'm on all the platforms. I just kind of got into TikTok a little bit.
Yeah.
Which, you know, Twitter has turned into a truly brutal Twitter's a brutal environment. It's like
Wow.
you know, like I remember posting something which was just me talking about the cheesesteak, other vendors. And it was just like, hey, you know, you don't have to praise your favorite cheesesteak place and then put down another place. Like, you can cheer all you want, tell the world who who you love, but I don't know why people feel the need to raise someone up but have to put someone else down. So I just said, we're all friends. I mean, you can still tell everyone what you love. You don't have to be, you could be a little kinder and not have to put people down. And on some of the, when people shared it, people can be like, oh, does Tony want a participation trophy? Well, it's just, it doesn't matter what you say. Someone will come at you for
There's always a
something.
hater
So,
for something that
but
don't even make sense.
that's part of, it is what it is. I don't
Part of being
respond.
a public
I
figure.
don't get into a conversation with anyone.
Right.
Everyone's entitled, to their
Right.
opinion. I
Mm-hmm.
just don't understand how that helps anything by just perpetuating that anger and just getting everyone
Mm-hmm.
else angry. So I personally just don't participate in it. I never answer a bad, when someone puts up a bad reply, I never answer it. I go right by it. I don't
Right.
get into it. I won't give them that power over me. And
Right.
once I feed into it, then I'm just as
Yeah.
guilty as stoking that fire as they
Exactly.
are in starting that fire.
Yeah. Yeah. It's maturity to not even answer back to stuff like that. It's not even worth the time, right?
Yeah, it's energy that you do not need to expend because it
Yeah.
doesn't. I learned a long time ago, if someone doesn't like you for whatever reason, it doesn't matter what you do. If they don't like you, it's very
Mm-hmm.
difficult to make, you could, my great example is if someone just doesn't like you for whatever reason, they don't like your religion, they don't like your color, they don't like what you stand for, they don't like your face. You could run in
Yeah.
a burning building and save, you know, babies, and then come out and someone would go, oh yeah, Tony Luke saved 5 babies, but he's the one that probably started the fire. See, so there's no, you know what I mean? Like there's
Exactly.
no, if they
There's
don't
no
like it, they're
end
not
to
gonna
it.
like it. It doesn't matter what you do.
Exactly. What advice would you have for someone who wants to start in the music or wants to start doing music or wants to start doing acting or both?
Here's the best advice I can give. And I actually read it on an Instagram post that someone put up. And it was, I mean, I could not have said it any better than they did. And it was, never stop creating. Just always be creating. Because the point of creativity, and this is what I fell into when I was younger. When you create for fame, when you create for riches, that's all ego. All of it's ego.
Mm-hmm.
And it loses its realness when you do
Mm-hmm.
that.
It
You don't
does.
have to be famous to create. You love music, right? Put it out there. We've never been in a time where it's easier to get music out to people. I mean, there's a lot of
Yeah.
competition for, people listening, but there's never been an easier time to load your music up and get it out there, or do a little independent film, or you can do a movie with an iPhone now. You don't need 200,000 worth
Yeah.
of equipment. So my advice is always be creating.
So let
Oh,
me.
there you go. I lost you for
Oh,
a
you can
minute.
see
It
me.
just
Okay.
kept
Okay. I
spinning.
was about to say. Yeah. Okay. Great. So never stop creating. That is some really good advice. That is very good advice. Do you have any up and coming performances or appearances or anything like that?
Yes. So we're doing a huge benefit for the Sound Mind Network July 29th in Royersford, PA, at a place called Soul Joel's Comedy Club and Lounge. It's an outside venue.
Could you repeat that again? It froze up a little bit. Say that again.
We're doing a big benefit for the Sound Mind Network on July 29th. I will post when tickets are available.
What? Oh, man. Okay. Okay.
There you go. July 29th, the benefit. I will post when tickets become available. It's for the Sound Mind Network, and it's at Soul Joel's Comedy Club and Lounge. It's an outside area, so it's got like a dome over it. It's got sand like a beach. It's next to a railroad. It's the coolest place to play. It's going to be a great night. It's going to be a great night.
Where is it located at, Tony?
Royersford, Pennsylvania.
Royersford, Pennsylvania, and the name of the venue again? I mean, the restaurant, the venue
is Soul Joel's Comedy Club and Lounge.
Okay, Soul Joel's Comedy Club and Lounge. Great.
But it's really awesome, and we're going to ask people that are buying tickets to email us pictures of their loved ones. So when I'm doing some of the songs, we'll have a big video screen, and we'll just keep posting all those that we lost. So people can pay homage to their loved one during the show.
Wow. This is the time in the show, in the Indie Spotlight Special Edition, when I asked if the guest has any questions for me, since I've asked so many questions.
Okay, I do have a question for you. So, knowing that where you went to school and that music was your thing, what is your favorite genre of music that you personally love to perform in?
Okay, so I love so much music, but my favorite genre of music to perform is either soul or R&B. But I also perform jazz and rock really well too.
Oh,
yeah.
So you're very diverse. Yes.
Yes, I made a point to be very diverse, because a lot of times with music, new music was created because you did an original form of music and then a combination of it made another form of music.
Yep.
And I think all music should be put together, and I think all artists should come together. That's actually why I created the show, the Indie Spotlight Special Edition, or the Indie Spotlight, because I wanted a variety of guests and a variety of people so that they could come together and get to know each other to bridge the gap.
Oh, I could not agree with you more. Like the biggest problem I think since the beginning of time is people just don't know how to communicate with each other. They don't try to understand each other. You don't always have to agree with someone, but you need to try to, because I got to tell you, I've been with people that I had one particular point of view on whatever the subject was, and we sat down and spoke, and I changed my point of view at the end of that conversation. Now, I don't always do that, but if I didn't take the time to sit and actually listen and communicate with someone, then I would have never seen it from that point of view for whatever the issue was, or whatever my point of view was in whatever subject it was. I was only seeing it from my point of view. And when you allow yourself to see it from another point of view, that doesn't mean you're automatically going to go, okay, well, I agree with you. But at minimum, at minimum, you understand the situation better. And that's the start of getting to know someone and working through those issues, whatever they may be. The first way to do it is you have to speak to each other, honestly and upfront, and not be afraid to say how you feel to someone. And definitely just remember, when you tell someone how you feel, they're going to tell you how they feel. So you can't get on the defensive either. If you're going to be open, you need to be open. You need to recognize each other's feelings and then go with it from there.
Yes. I also think that music and foundations also bring together people that are not likely to even be in each other's worlds,
Ooh.
like different music genres who
Oh,
don't even experience with each other. I've been to like rock concerts and metal concerts, and I've been to rap concerts and indie concerts and jazz concerts. And in order for those societies to get to know each other, because we're all musicians and creators and individuals, we should keep, like getting to know each other, keep going to each other's events, keep talking to each other and stuff like that. And that actually helps different people in the community. We connect through that. What better way to connect with through music?
music and food are two of the
Food,
greatest
yes,
connect.
yeah,
I mean, right? There's the
yeah,
greatest connectors ever is
yeah,
music and food.
yeah, yes, yes.
Oh, I just got the chills even saying that. Music and food, two of my favorite things in the whole wide world.
Yes, yes, yes. It's two of the biggest categories actually, like pretty much in the world. Pretty
Yeah,
much in the world.
and it works.
Wow.
And music is sound. Sound
Hmm.
comes from vibration. So the vibration is energy. Everything
Hmm.
is made up of energy. Everything is moving. The stand that I'm using for the mic, it looks like it's standing still, but it's not. The atoms are, they're moving at a very high rate, and the higher it moves, the more denser the object is, the slower it moves, the softer the. So everything is alive around us.
Yeah.
Everything has energy, and music taps into everything. That's why, when you listen to a certain song, it makes you feel a certain way. And then because
Yeah.
it's affecting your energy when you listen to it in a positive or a negative way. Sometimes it's good to it's good to cry. Sometimes it's good to be mad and stamp your feet and just yell. You know what I mean? And music does that. Comedy does that. Movies
Yeah.
do that. So we're right back again. We're right back to the arts. You know what I mean? You
You
go right back to the arts, which connects everything.
yeah, you actually were doing I actually seen you doing like I don't know if it was like a podcast or a comedy cast. You were with like Bill Bellamy, and you were also with another man, and I really can't remember his name, but he's like a popular Italian comedian. I
Um,
can't really think of his
oh,
name.
Vic Di Benedetto. Because
Yeah,
I just,
yeah,
yeah, Vic. Yeah, Vic
yeah,
is,
yeah, yeah,
let me tell you
yeah.
something. Vic, when I first met Vic, um, all I knew was his videos. So I didn't know the man personally. I have to tell you, when you speak to him one-on-one personally, he's just a very kind, very calm man, because he's not calm in any of his videos. And I really took to him. Like,
Hmm.
some people I meet, I just take to, and other people I meet, not that I don't take to them, but I know, it may work, it may not, I don't know. But he was so kind and, just so giving on set, and he was just walking around with so much gratitude. You know what I mean? Like, he was
Hmm.
grateful. And I love when I meet people that understand that when you're lucky enough to do films, or you're lucky enough to have people want to hear what you have to say, or listen to your music or buy your music, you need to be grateful. Like, there
Hmm.
needs to be gratitude, because that's a gift that you're given. And you need to be grateful for that gift. And I think that when you realize that and you are grateful, you just enjoy it more,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
you have to enjoy it. How did you meet Bill Bellamy?
I did a series, limited series for Amazon called Comedy Kitchen. And it was the brainchild of a friend of mine called, his name is Craig Shoemaker. And he's a very famous comic. And the whole premise was, we would take comics and I would teach them how to cook. He would take
Hmm.
cooks and teach them comedy.
Oh
It
wow,
was
that's awesome.
hilarious. And then they would be judged. So a panel of judges would eat the comics food and then judge it. And then another judge of people would watch them, the chefs do comedy, and then they would judge them. And at the end, was my teaching the comic more successful than Craig teaching the chef? So we'd always
Wow.
have this running, I won, you won, I won. But we had a lot of great and Bill Bellamy is just a sweetheart and amazing, amazing, amazing man.
Wow. Wow. You got to meet like so many different people and so many extraordinary and fun people. Very interesting. Is there anyone out there that you would like to collaborate with? If so, who would it be?
Believe it or not, right now, I would really love to collaborate with Santana. I just want to do something with Carlos Santana. And the one person that I have admired my entire, like I've been lucky enough to meet a lot of people. And I just never get starstruck. You know, it's a job, I work. But there's one human being on the whole planet that if I were to meet that person, that I wouldn't know what to say. I would be starstruck. So if anybody is seeing this, please allow me to meet this man so I can just be because he is the reason I got into music. And when you hear some of my music, it's very heavily influenced by him. And that artist is Billy Joel. And I've never met him. And I redid his song, Summer Highland Falls, which now Joe Nicolo worked with Billy on the River of Dreams album. So I remember finishing the song and Joe saying, I'm going to send the song over to Billy as soon as we master it. So even though I may not get to meet him, at least I might actually get him to hear my rendition of one of his songs, which was one of my favorite songs.
Wow. Wow. That would be something like monumental if you and him actually
For me, yeah.
song together.
After that, I could die and I'd be okay.
Great, great. So before I wrap up the interview, because this only holds it, well, we only can go live for like an hour at a time. Could you tell everyone about your foundation, Sound Mind Network, and about your album release and your next performance coming up?
Okay, I'll do it really quick.
I'll try to end it with that.
Okay, I'll do it really quick.
Reconnect. Oh, sorry.
Okay, there we go.
So,
all right, it's all right.
Tell everyone about that.
The foundation and the website is soundmindnetwork.org. We help people to get through trauma and addiction through the arts, to go through it, not around it. The big concert is July 29th for the Sound Mind Network fundraiser. My album, which is called Strong in Broken Places, which is a conceptual album which will take you through the life of, will be released probably available everywhere by mid-June. I ask people, please check it out, because any money made from that album in streaming will all go to the Sound Mind Network Foundation.
Awesome. So your album, you said, probably be out in June sometime, right?
Probably
so
the first week or the second week of June. It'll be available on all streaming platforms.
On all streaming platforms. Great, great, great. Is there anything else you would like to add or like to talk about?
Yes, real quick. I'll add this to it. I did a video that really helps people understand that addiction is not a choice. If they go to YouTube, type in Tony Luke Jr., Make You Feel My Love. Check out that video. I think it'll really help you understand more that addiction is not a choice.
I checked it out. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
It's really beautiful. And I just want to say thank you to all the viewers. Thank you for all the supporters and everyone that came in. And I also want to tell you, I want to personally thank you. Thank you, Tony Luke Jr.
Thank you,
for
Shay,
being so reachable and being able to I was able to communicate with you very, very well. And I very, very much appreciate that.
Well, the feeling is mutual. God bless you, Shay.
Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone.
Have an awesome night. Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye-bye.